Hey guys, this is Morphious with another video. So for those that saw, I recently posted a video showing the Classic era community in 2022 saying, Classic is back. And since then, I have gotten hundreds of comments from players asking very valid questions about Classic to try to find out about it. I've tried to answer those individually, but I think that if some people have those questions, I'm sure others do as well. So I decided it would be good to do a catch-all video answering some of the most common questions I get about Classic era. And I really just want this to be helpful and informative for those that are curious. So some of the questions that we're going to be answering today are, what is Classic era? Is there a low population? What's the population like? Are there players raiding? Are there players questing and leveling? Are battlegrounds happening? I started TBC. Can I come back to Classic? What's the cloning service like? Are there server transfers? Which servers are the most popular in North America and which servers are the most popular on the EU servers? How does Classic compare to Seasons of Mastery? I've never played Classic. Is it too late to start now? So these are the questions that we're going to answer in this video. I also want to say I'm going to try to remain unbiased here because obviously I'm playing Classic. However, what I want to do is just give you straightforward information and things about the game that I've learned over the past few months and provide that to you in just a clear, unbiased way so that you can make your own informed decision, because at the end of the day, it is not my role to tell you how to spend your money or your time. Just want to give you the information and then you decide. With that, let's get started. For the first thing, some people may be a little bit confused. What is Classic era? Blizzard originally started with Vanilla Classic, and then they eventually progressed into Classic TBC. When they did that, they gave players the option to stay in Vanilla Classic. And those servers are now referred to as Classic era servers. And to my knowledge, those servers are supposed to be permanent. They're supposed to just stay as they are. You do not progress. You cap at 60, and the content that's out, which is up to phase 6, which is Naxxramas, that content is here to stay for the long run. For those that are in TBC, for example, they are now going to have to progress into Wrath of Lich King. They will not get a Classic era server. So they will have to kind of continue forward with the natural progression of the game. So one of the main questions people are asking, is what is the population like? And to be honest, the population is low. If you are to just Google the server population and look at it, it's going to say low for all the servers. However, I think what a low population is, it's sort of relative in the sense that retail is massive. Retail has tons of players. So comparatively, of course, there's going to be a lot of players in Classic era. It's a very subset of group of players within Classic. With that being said, Blizzard has merged a lot of the Classic era servers together, and they did that very specifically because it's a community-focused game. They did that so that players can raid, quest, do battlegrounds, all that kind of stuff, level, together. That's a very important part of the game. So with the server merger, there's been a big increase in just kind of the presence and community in Classic. Now, let's be honest, if you log in at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, you're not going to see a lot of players on. Stormwind or Orgrimmar is going to look very empty, right? But if you log in at the evening at peak times, if you're logging in, at say 7 p.m., or you're logging in on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday, there's going to be a decent community there. And one thing that I've realized as I've continued to play is, those first couple times you log in, it really does look dead. But as you continue to play and start to kind of understand the times to log in, as you start to get to know some of these players, you become a part of the guild, you really do start to see, you start to see the community, and you start to understand that, like, yes, there is an active community. And these players are very passionate about Classic. They're very, I would say, good players, and they're also just nice, which I think is very refreshing for a World of Warcraft community to just have nice, welcoming, accepting players. I think that's great. So another big thing that I really want to talk about and focus on this video is some people have asked, I moved on to TBC. I started playing TBC. I chose not to clone my character, right? Not to keep my character in Classic. Can I come back? What does that look like? And Blizzard has just announced that but from now until July 26th, yes, you can still clone your character, and they've actually reduced the price from $15 to $5. So between right now, May 17th, all the way up to July 26th, there is this small window to pay $5, and you basically save that original character. Whenever you ended Classic and started TBC, that character will now still be in Classic era and will be saved there permanently. Now, an important part of that is after July 26th, you do not have that option, right? Once you continue on and we hit July 27th, supposedly what Blizzard is saying is you do not have the option to then come back. So your character at that point is now moved on into Wrath of Lich King. So that's actually very important, because for those that maybe decide, later on, Lich King ends, we don't really know what's going to happen there. What happens next, and what if you want to come back and play Classic? And the truth is, if you did not clone your character between now and then, or if you did not clone it from the start of TBC until July 26th, you would no longer have that option. Now, I'm not here to tell anyone how to spend their money. That is very much your decision. I can tell you from my personal experience, all of the amount of time and effort, multiple months, that I put into my character in Classic, that is worth $5 to me to save that. $5, I think that's a reasonable price to just kind of save them there. And let's say you've got full bis, and you've got something really cool, right? You've got a Thunder Fury Warrior, or you've got full Nax gear, or maybe not even that. Maybe you just have a level 60, and you want to save that level 60. Who knows where you're going to be 2 or 3 years from now, and how you want to play the game. To me, to know that in 2 years I can just log in and have a full bis character, that's great, and that's so to me it's worth that $5. But that's just me personally. So another thing that's very important is you also get a free server transfer. So as I mentioned, the server populations are low, but some servers, of course, are going to be bigger than others, and you would want to most likely transfer to that cluster. That's what we call it, a cluster, multiple servers put together into one. Now, for the North American servers, the biggest cluster is the whitemane cluster. So that's going to be whitemane and 10 other servers, and I'm going to have those listed in the video. You'll be able to see them. Also in the description, I will have them listed out. I have also been told that Mankrik, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Pagel is the other North American cluster that has a decent population and is doing well. So those are the two North American, right? You're looking at the whitemane cluster, and you're looking at the Mankrik Pagel cluster as far as ones with decent populations. I personally am on the whitemane cluster. All the videos that you're seeing right now, that is from content of us just doing things on the whitemane cluster. Now for the European servers, I do not have personal experience with this, but I've been told now by multiple players that Fire Maw is the server to go to in European servers. I've been told that they are actively raiding and PvPing. So bringing back to our North American servers in whitemane, there are guilds that are raiding. Yes, to my knowledge, they run pretty much every single raid every week. And there are 2 main guilds, Pasta Sauce and Phase 7. I'm sure that will increase as we go on. Other guilds will start to make their way up, and you've already seen recently an increase of just different players with different guilds. But as of right now, Pasta Sauce and Phase 7 are the big raiding guilds, and they are raiding regularly. So they are hitting Nax every single week. They're hitting AQ40, they're hitting Molten Core, they're going through Blackwing Lair. They're doing all the content. They're running ZG for the idols. And some people have asked, well, do they already have set raid groups? And to my knowledge, while they do have core raiders, new players that have come in and joined have been able to get in those raids. At the moment, their rosters, to my knowledge, are kind of open. You sign up and hopefully you get in. Another thing people ask about is player versus player. Yes, there is still PvP going on. Unfortunately, right now, and this is just the truth, Monday through Thursday, there are not battlegrounds on the whitemane cluster, and as far as I'm aware of the North American clusters. Friday and Saturday night are the PvP nights, and I've been very impressed with players showing up full bis, showing up with pots, world buffs, like ready to go. You got a lot of, and people are ranking. That's another important thing that people have asked about. People are still ranking currently. So Friday, Saturday nights, those are the nights to PvP. You got rankers, you've got PvPers, battlegrounds are popping. We have Warsong Gulch is going every single weekend. Arathi Basin is going some other weekends, but absolutely on Arathi Basin weekend where you get the extra reputation honor, it's popping then. And Alteric Valley, on Alteric Valley weekends, we actually coordinate across multiple servers and with the Horde and Alliance faction, which I think is something that's very cool about Classic, that we actually do communicate outside of the game with Horde and Alliance players and multiple servers to designate times to queue for Alteric Valley. And we get some really cool, fun, competitive Alteric Valley games in. Just the other night, we had multiple Warsong Gulches and Arathi Basins running at the same time. So yes, PvP is happening. As you may have noticed, a lot of players are currently playing Seasons of Mastery and are still continuing to play Seasons of Mastery. What happens to those players when Season of Mastery ends in November? To be honest, I don't know. I've been told by some people that they think that those Seasons of Mastery players will have an option to transfer into Classic Era. To my knowledge, Blizzard has not confirmed that, although I think that's a reasonable assumption because, as we all know, the last thing Blizzard wants to do is people to cancel their World of Warcraft subscription. So I think it's reasonable to assume that the Seasons of Mastery players will be transferred into the Classic Era servers, but that has not been confirmed. As you've seen, there are players that are doing PvP and having fun in Seasons of Mastery. Perplexity started posting videos again, and he's got multiple of the original apes, and they're currently doing battlegrounds and having fun in Seasons of Mastery, so that is active. I will say, and this is my opinion, Seasons of Mastery ends in November. I'm the type of person that I want to be able to guarantee that if next year I log in, I still have my character. So I personally wasn't really interested in starting over in Seasons of Mastery and not really having that guarantee of what would happen. I'm not a big leveler. That's just me. I'm not a fan of leveling. So once I hit 60, I like to keep that level 60 and just stay there. So if you haven't started playing Classic at all and you're kind of comparing Seasons of Mastery to Classic Era, be aware that both communities are doing well. Both communities are raiding and PvPing. However, Seasons of Mastery ends in November, and we're not 100% sure about what will happen after November. Let's see. So we've covered some of the big important things so far, which is that currently you can still clone your character. If you originally played in Classic, you can still clone your character and save that character to Classic Era for $5 between now, which is May 17th, all the way up to July 26th. After July 26th, you will not be able to clone your character. That classic character will be lost unless at some point you paid for that cloning service or you opted to stay in Classic Era and not continue on to TBC. Okay, so that was, again, just something that I really wanted to hammer on. Some of the other things that we've gone over so far is that, yes, Classic Era is alive. People are raiding. People are playing PvP. There's a good community. The community is welcoming. Players are questing. But let's be honest, it's lower population. So you should expect, if you're questing, you're not going to see a ton of characters around. I mean, that's just the truth. If you're out in the world, you do see players out in the world, just running around through the map and having to do some quests that I've done recently. I see players around the world, but it's not going to be a heavy population just hanging out in these questing zones. So keep that in mind if you're really focused on wanting to start new and leveling. Dungeoning would be difficult. Let's just be honest. If you're level 35 and you want to run, a random dungeon, you might have to get carried. I mean, the likelihood of having 4 other players, a tank and a healer, that are up to just dungeon at kind of a random level, that could be difficult. With that being said, for those that want to do that, I think it's possible. I would suggest joining a guild and being active in that guild and communicating with other players that are also leveling characters, players that are leveling alts. And you're going to have to take an active role in communicating with players to try to do dungeons at lower levels. But raids are still happening. People are questing, people are leveling. PvP is definitely going on. A couple things just to kind of clarify. This is going to be for the non-classic players. This is going to be for the retail players who are curious in Classic Era, because I do get questions from retail players kind of being like, what's going on? I'm curious about this. Classic Era is the original vanilla WoW game, very much in its original format with just a few small modifications that were very necessary. And I got to be honest, compared to retail, I think that it is a more difficult game to play. It's a game that, retail, they have done a very good job over the many years to learn how to make the game. People are going to hate me for this, but this is just how, as someone who's played World of Warcraft this a long time, this is just how it's my opinion of it. They've done a very good job of making retail very easy. I'm not talking about mythics. I'm not talking about, rated battlegrounds or rated arenas. I'm talking about just the leveling questing process in retail is very easy. You basically get walked through the entire process and you kind of have everything handed to you. Again, that's just my opinion. Classic is the complete opposite. You have to very much carry yourself. I mean, you're going to be Googling things, you're going to be YouTubing things because the quest is cryptic and you have no idea what you're supposed to go do. That's leveling in Classic. And some people like that and some people don't. So just keep that in mind. If that's something that you're interested in, it's harder. There's not the massive community and there's not the zoning like they do in retail. So there's a good chance if you're a level 20, you might be the only level 20 in that zone. And there's no others around. Pros and cons of that: you don't have to compete for NPCs. You don't have to wait for respawns. It's not as competitive for farming low-level materials. But the con of that is you might not have that kind of community experience of getting to level with multiple other players. I think you can find that if you get in with a good guild, but that's just the truth of the situation. You have to save up 80 gold to buy a mount at level 40. You don't get a mount until level 40. You don't get flying, right? Those are things that may be a very strong, something that people in retail, really are used to, and they would hate to just literally auto run through the world. But that's what it's like in Classic. With that being said, some people like a challenge. I know I personally do. I like that challenge, and I know that others do as well. So that's just for those that are comparing, just curious, and they're like, I've never played Classic. I'm curious about starting from level 1 and leveling. Just be aware that questing is going to be tough. Dungeoning is going to be tough, but it is possible. And I think it's really rewarding once you do hit level 60 and you're able to just kind of finally only have that one point of in-game content. I can tell you, as someone that's played retail for a long time and now plays Classic pretty much exclusively, it's because I don't have time to constantly keep up with new content. I do not have time to keep up with dailies and having my gear become obsolete every 2 months or whatever. I like to be able to get my best gear and that's it. I'm done. I can just log in, be maxed out, play my battlegrounds, do my raids. That's just my personal experience, and that's why I like Classic Era. It's good for the players that can't put in that time every day but still really like playing in-game content, or just for the people that like the nostalgia. It's very much the original game. It's very nostalgic. So if you're interested in playing Classic Era, I would say that you should at least just try it and check it out. I think it's a very fun game. It has a strong community. Yes, the server populations are low, but with these clusters, multiple people are pushed in together. There is a good community. People are raiding. People are leveling, questing, and doing battlegrounds. I hope that was informative. Below in the description, I am going to include the lists of the different servers. Server transfers are free. And then again, the main really big point here is if you do want to clone your character and keep them in Classic Era, it's $5 between now and July 26th. After July 26th, that character that was saved from when you transferred, when you originally went from Classic Vanilla to TBC, that character was saved at that point. It will be gone after July 26th, unless at some point you paid that $5 or $15, what it was before, or if you just opted to stay in Classic Era and did not move on to TBC. I hope this video is helpful, guys. I know it was kind of lengthy. I did not intend on it being 20 minutes, but I think there's just a lot of information. People have just a lot of different questions, and I wanted to try to cover it all in one video. Thank you very much for your time. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and informative. If you have any additional questions that were not answered in this video, please feel free to comment those questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, check out the channel. I've got plenty of Boomkin PvP and Classic Era content on the channel. Thank you so much and have a great day.